back to the YouTube channel of Pro Enzo Vids, and this is a video about the Warriors, and I'm just going to be breaking down their situations and their current issues they're going through in 2022. I've done this before in the past with many other clubs. I've done this with the Tigers this year, last year the Broncos when they were going through a bad phase, the Bulldogs. You know, I've always done these sort of videos about breaking down issues of clubs and where I personally would think and hope that they were changing, and yeah, basically just a bit of an analysis on the whole side and what the issues I reckon are for that Warriors team currently. You know, obviously there's a lot, but there's a lot of positives at the same time. So in some way they're lucky with what talent they have in that squad, but yeah, again I think it's more to do with just sort of the culture and the personality of the team, in my opinion. But yeah, you know, this is just me breaking down three main things, and information behind why I think these are issues, and yeah, I hope you all enjoy. So Warriors fans, if you're watching, hopefully I did my best in addressing all the issues I can personally see at the club. So yeah, hope you all enjoy. But yeah, this is Pro Enzo Vids breaking down the issues of the New Zealand Warriors in 2022. Alright, this is probably the main issue, but you know, you got to try and say other things other than being away from home, obviously, because they've been in Australia for a good nearly 3 years now. So we've got to try and yeah, limit that as an excuse. So, but anyway, it is because I think a lot of their players obviously would be mentally affected and mentally not all there, as they probably are away from family for such a long time because of COVID and everything. And I think that's an issue. I think being away from New Zealand is an issue. And I think also the signings they've made, you know, because I feel like there's a lot of drama with the players that have signed in Australia while being away from New Zealand. And I think that's reflected in some way with Matt Lodge. You know, for example, Matt Lodge, he obviously doesn't want to commit to being at the Warriors or going to New Zealand from, you know, for the remainder of this year as they go back there this Sunday, you know, which will be a bigger homecoming for the Warriors, being back in Mount Smart this Sunday against Tigers. But yeah, Matt Lodge doesn't want to be part of that. He obviously has his own ideas, plans, and doesn't want to go to New Zealand, wants to stay in New South Wales apparently, and he's got to deal with the Roosters. And so, again, this is probably, and based on his contract, I will definitely discuss this in the next part. But yeah, you know what I mean. Uncommitted players, that's one thing. I don't think the players there are obviously too excited, or not too excited. It's not about being excited or not, but I think it's because players there obviously are more settled in Australia more than they would be in New Zealand. So I guess that might create a bit of an issue with some players possibly leaving. You know, I've heard Jack Murchie may want to go, and he obviously signed with the Warriors while they're in Australia in 2020 in the Gold Coast, or Kingscliff, where they were by that time. So I think we're going to find out a lot of players will be leaving the Warriors, probably, only because they don't want to go to New Zealand for full time, which is fair enough. But again, that's probably an issue for the Warriors, that they've signed those players that don't really want to commit to being in New Zealand full time. And, you know, you'd only want to sign players that want to, you know, make the travel to New Zealand, stay there. I mean, to be honest, you know, it's only a 3-hour trip. Like, it's really nothing, you know. A 3-hour trip's not even that bad, to be honest. And unfortunately, you got players that don't want to, you know, go through that, and don't want to, you know, be in New Zealand and be away from family, which is fair enough, because I guess family does, you know, become over everything. But for the Warriors' sake, it doesn't help them. I think it definitely ruins their culture a little bit if their players are leaving. And, you know, Matt Lodge, Aiken, obviously two players, for example, that don't want to commit to the Warriors further on. And I guess the main issue was their coach, Nathan Brown. You know, when your own coach is signed with the club, you know, and then becomes unhappy, you know, basically unhappy with the environment and not wanting to be going ahead with the Warriors, it's pretty disappointing. I mean, he had his reasons too not to go to New Zealand because of family, but you know, did he, when he first signed the Warriors back in 2020, he should have expected that they'll go back to New Zealand at some point. You know, that's kind of on him, to be honest, that, you know, that he signed that contract when he could have known that they're going back to New Zealand, you know, at one point. So, well, that is on him. I still think it's pretty bad in general that the own coach doesn't want to commit. And I could tell by Nathan Brown's press conferences that, you know, he didn't seem too enthusiastic, didn't seem too happy, didn't seem, you know, he cared too much. I mean, when Manly played the Warriors in that last game of he's actually the coach of the Warriors, early June, he even said that the Warriors sometimes go into games expecting to lose. I mean, if you're going to come into a game with that attitude, then, you know, that's something not right there. So I'm talking about the culture and environment. I think the culture and environment's a pretty bad thing over there at the Warriors at the moment. The players, obviously, I guess I'm not too interested in the fact going back to New Zealand, as you know, there's already rumours that some want to leave. And yeah, I think it all comes about that. Just I guess the mentality, the players, the environment, and the culture. I think that's what a real issue for me for the Warriors is. You know, as much as I can see the talent there, if the players' mindset and headspace isn't there, then that's another issue as well. So yeah, I think that's a issue. Being away from, I guess, New Zealand, and I guess as well just the players and the type of players they sign and what the drama has caused with the environment and their future and onwards, you know. Just the things that revolve around that, in my opinion. That's one issue for me. Alright, on to the second one now. So the second one is, it's not a surprise because when you talk about clubs that are struggling, you instantly look at the office and the people that work around the club and etc. So it's not a surprise, obviously, but I think in this instance you probably have to, and I think it's definitely an issue. So the Warriors, yeah, with the CEOs and the owners, obviously as well known as Cameron George and Mark Robinson, both of them have been at the Warriors for some time now. Both of them have done good things, and I think some of them could have done things that maybe should have been handled a bit better. And I'm talking about the Matt Lodge situation. Yeah, look, I don't know the full story. I don't know what the full story was of him leaving, but I do know that he was on $700K as a contract, and they paid him out. And yeah, they let him go, and they're going to have to pay him most of his salary for next year, if I'm being correct. So, you know, that's, I mean, I just don't know how they, you know, got that wrong. Like, seriously. I mean, we'd all know what happened with the Lodge situation, but again, how he left and the argument with Mark Robinson he allegedly had, yeah, I don't know too much about that. But I do know that the Warriors have mucked up his contract and releasing him and not going to handle it too well. So it's on them, really, if that's the case. But look, in general, I think these two and probably the rest of the people that work around the club in a higher role could do a lot better, in my opinion. I do think they need to aim for better success. They need to aim for bigger things in the future. Now, I know it's hard when they're not in New Zealand, because I think if they're more settled in New Zealand, then there would have been more better opportunity and a bit more to look at in terms of you know, success and other things that they could achieve. But it's still no excuse, because at the end of the day, they're a footy side and they're a side that is playing first grade, and you know, you need the right people in the right, you know, sort of role in business. And I don't know, I think them two are to question. I mean, Cameron George is not a bad, you know, look, he fronts the media okay. I've seen interviews with him before. He fronts the media okay. He seems to talk well, but like, is he really doing the right things though? Like, I don't know. That's what I'm questioning a little bit. I mean, I can't say it's too much, as I don't work at the Warriors and as I don't do anything that in terms of a role there. But you know, I just think that he should probably do a lot more, because the Warriors have made the finals since 2018, and they've made it once in what? How many years? Like the last time they really were a competitive side was 2011. I think 2011 was the last time they were really a top tier sort of side that could compete for something. And since then, they've done nothing. I mean, apart from maybe that 2018 season. I mean, the 2018 season, they could have missed the finals anyway, but that was probably the last best year. But they weren't a top tier or a really scary looking side since 2011. So that's pretty much a decade ago now. So I don't know. I think the Warriors need to achieve a lot more in terms of aiming for success and, you know, looking at the pathways and all that sort of stuff. I mean, when they're back in New Zealand, I think that this is where maybe some improvement. We'll see some improvement in terms of their pathways and juniors coming up, because I think for all these years since 2020, where they haven't been able to get too many players from New Zealand come across, you know, they're finally going to see their juniors now pathways and look to the future. And this weekend, I'm pretty sure when they play Tigers, they're going to have their younger grades playing against the Tigers and younger grades. So that's a good indication to see where their juniors are at and give them a bit of game time. So that's going to help in some way. So I think definitely that area of the club has definitely been impacted. But I think yeah, I think just sort of the management of the roster has been pretty bad, though, I will say. I think they've done some good signings. I mean, AFB's been a good signing. You know, I got to say, I think, yeah, Fanil Blake's been good. Walsh has been good. They've all been good pickups, you know who I mean. But they've made some pretty dud pickups in the past, and they've made some signings that, you know, are not worth money. Like, they're paying too much players on the wrong money, back-end contracts, overpaying players like Lodge, for example. And, yeah, I think the roster management's a real issue. And I think you got to look to Karen George, and if he's really serious about maybe steering the side to some success, and maybe just building some sort of building something to look forward to, and improve the club in some way. You know, that's what he has to do probably better. And I guess every other person that works in a higher role for the club as well. So it's mainly the front office. I think that's the issue. The front office is also a problem, and they need to work a lot hard. Not work a lot harder. I will rephrase that, because I bet they are working hard. But it's more it's more up to just them in terms of working out how to maintain or find success within the club, and what they should achieve and what they should be doing instead. So I think it revolves around that too, to be honest. And on to the very final one now, which is the third one. This is one where, look, I don't like targeting players, obviously. I don't really like calling anyone out publicly as a player, because I think that's a little bit wrong. But I'm trying to not make this some sort of call out, but I think most Warriors fans would probably relate when I probably say this. But is SJ the future? Is Shaun Johnson the future? That's what I question sometimes, you know. I question I question what Johnson brings to the club. Like, what kind of you know, attributes does he bring to the club? Like, I don't think he's set the world on fire so far. Put it that way. I don't think he's set the world on fire. I think, unfortunately, he's been a little bit lazy, I suppose. I think he, as a halfback, you know, you're always going to have the ball in hand. You're always going to do so much in attack, and you know, obviously, when you're the halfback, it's really up to you to game manage a win and game manage the game in general. But for SJ's sake, I don't think he's doing too much of that, unfortunately. I think he's really struggling. He has said before that he's struggling because of family, and obviously he's got a young family over there in New Zealand, and he's obviously seen the NRL, which is great for him, and I'm happy for him. But I don't think that's all the issues, though. I think what really is the issue is that maybe he's getting a bit past the game. I think he's sort of moving past as a player, to be honest. I don't think he's offering too much anymore. I don't think he's got much to offer as a player, apart from maybe some experience and maybe some leadership talk. That's really it. I don't think he has enough in play. I don't think he's got too much to offer as a player. Like that's what I'm saying. I don't think he's got enough to offer as a player, and I don't think he's the future of the Warriors, and he's not someone they should invest into for another couple of years. Maybe this will be his last year. Maybe next year will be his last year. Who knows when it'll be his last year? But I think when they sign Ronald Volkman straight away, and they've signed players like Dejan Assi as well, I think that indicates to me, and Luke Metcalf as well, I think it indicates to me that SJ's future at the Warriors is definitely clouded, and there's not much that he can do by that, as the Warriors probably have a future sorted with Ronald Volkman probably wanting to, or as the club probably wants Ronald Volkman to be the halfback going forward in the future. And yeah, I could tell, like, this week he's playing 5'8". He's starting at 5'8" again, and obviously, yeah, I guess the more games he gets, the more likely Shaun Johnson might be told to move on, and Ronald Volkman gets in the main halfback jersey, you know, becomes the main man all of a sudden. But again, like, I look, it doesn't. I guess it doesn't help Johnson in this way, though. It doesn't help Johnson in this way, in a way where probably every week he's been having a different half combination. He's been having Nick Arena start the year. He had Harris Davida as part of the year. He had Dejan Assi. He had Ronald Volkman just now. So he's gone through quite a bit of chopping and changing with the halves every week. So it doesn't help Shaun Johnson's game, to be honest, if he's going to have a different halves partner every week, you know. So that doesn't really help him too much, to be honest, because he doesn't have proper foil there for him as well. But look, again, he's experienced. He's a halfback. He's the main man, one of the most experienced players in the team, a leader, and he's not doing enough. So I think the Warriors may need to cut him and go from a new start, because I think unfortunately for Sean Johnson, it's probably time for him to part ways with the Warriors and look to somewhere else, because I don't think him and the Warriors are working. I think the Warriors could do a lot better, and if they want to achieve success, I don't think they're going to achieve much under Johnson, to be honest. That's what I think anyway. So I think most Warriors fans would agree with me in saying that, but I don't know. Hopefully I've addressed enough. So hopefully everyone watching the video, if you're a Warriors fan or not, what do you think about the video? Hopefully you enjoyed. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your thoughts and feedback on the video. But everyone, thanks for watching. See you in another video.